Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is getting a patch. Let's talk about it. What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who knows best, and in today's video, I want to talk to you about a tweet I hit the timeline earlier today that I'm sure will have a lot of you guys very excited. So let's just go ahead and jump straight into it. If we jump over to the monitor, you can see the Dragon Ball Games Twitter put out an update patch for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is planned for around late October. It's currently October. Today's the 18th as of this recording, probably the 19th by the time you're seeing this video. It's already like mid-October, so this could potentially be within the next week or so, or it could be the end, but either way, it's coming sometime this month. Improvement of an issue where some controls become unresponsive during online matches when classic controls are selected. So, currently, there are a plethora, honestly, of different bugs and glitches that exist within Sparking Zero. As great as the game is, in my opinion, as much fun as I'm having, as much fun as we're all having, the game is not perfect, okay? It's far from it, in fact, and that's to be expected. It's flawed in a number of ways, but I think some of the biggest issues that currently exist are the bugs that exist, including this one with the controls. Some of you have probably experienced this, but if you haven't, allow me to explain. I believe the conclusion that we've drawn that causes this is that if somebody who's on standard controls plays with somebody who's on classic controls and they do DP battle, one player will be unable to swap their characters during the match. Another issue that arises is that one player will get locked out of one of their supers. And this is something that has honestly been throwing like a wrench in things like running tournaments online for the community, and just playing matches with like your friends or just online. It's something that could be the difference between winning or losing a match. In my own personal experience, I feel as though any match where I got locked out of being able to tag characters during DP battle is basically just lost for me, to be honest. I feel like every time this happened to me, I've lost a match. Not to say that you can't win, but it obviously becomes a lot more difficult. And, you know, there's also a conversation about whether or not character swapping is like cheesy or gimmicky or like unfair or whatever. To me, this is somewhat of a lawless land, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't even think twice about it. I mean, like in any game, like team game, like, yeah, you're going to swap your characters out to let them heal or get them out of harm's way. Like, I just feel like that's normal, but I guess that's another conversation for another day. But yeah, so they don't specify which exactly this is referring to. It just says improvement of an issue where some controls become unresponsive. I hope this is talking about both of them, because and there's others as well, but this is a really big one. This is a really big one. Then moving on, adjustment of battle difficulty levels when playing certain stages in episode battle on lower difficulty settings. So this one's kind of funny. I'm gonna try my best not to be too judgmental about this, okay? But I've seen a lot of people out there in the YouTube comments and the people who are on Twitter struggling to play through the story mode of the game. I understand that everybody's elite gamer or some sort of pro, played Tenkaichi for years and everything like that, so it is what it is. There are definitely some strategies that you can use that can make the story mode a lot easier, but one of the easiest strategies for that is to lower the difficulty, or at least that's how it should be. This game is a little bit weird where the difficulty is like, there's just default, which I guess you could consider normal, and then there's lowered difficulty, which I guess we would call easy. And honestly, I tried out the easy difficulty when I, did that video on the Zenny farming glitch. I don't even know if it's really a glitch, the Zenny farming method, where you can redo the battle as Super Saiyan Goku versus 100% Power Frieza, and you get 300,000 Zen every single time. I played through the story on the default difficulty because it's just there by default, and I didn't find it too difficult to clear, so I just left it that way. But when I was putting up the method, I want to see if you change it down to the lower difficulty, do you still get the same reward? And you do. And so I just left it there while I was doing the farming. But I didn't really see like a huge difference. Frieza still fights back, he'll still hit you with counters and vanishes and stuff. But I don't know, like I hadn't tried the lower difficulty on any other fight other than that one for literally the sake of science or research or data. So I don't really know. But apparently even on the lower difficulty, it has still been pretty challenging for a lot of players on certain battles, whether that's Rated Vegeta or whatever the fight is. And I guess they're making that a little bit easier for those out there who are still struggling. That's fine. This is one of those things where I could see people like getting upset and bent out of shape, like, oh, why are you making the game easier, blah, blah, blah. But the way I see it is that they're still leaving the normal difficulty exactly the way that it is, or the default exactly the way that it is. They're only adjusting the lower difficulty. So if you don't play in that setting, then you really shouldn't care. I find it kind of weird how much people care about how someone else plays the game in a way that doesn't affect them. When it comes to like multiplayer aspects and you're playing online against each other, competing, I get it. There's you have some sort of argument there, right? With whatever your argument is. Like you have some sort of grounds there. But like when I see people get upset at like, oh, you made that kind of build in Elden Ring, or oh, you used that item when you fought this boss in that game, it's like, bro, who cares? It doesn't affect you. Why? It shouldn't bother you. Like how someone else does their playthrough should not matter to you whatsoever. And so with that being said, them making the easy difficulty even easier for those who are struggling, it shouldn't matter to anyone really. It doesn't really matter to me because it doesn't affect me because I won't be playing on that setting. Moving on, adjustment of Yajirobe stats and improved operational stability. And when it comes to the operational stability, I'm not really sure what that's in regards to. I'm going to hope and assume that might have something to do with the servers on Xbox, because a lot of you guys out there who are playing on Xbox are probably aware that there have been a number of issues, game crashing, getting disconnected, the inability to find matches online. I've had a lot of people come through to the Twitch stream, which by the way, if you don't already follow me, twitch.tv/LotusAsakura, link is always in the description down below. I don't stream every single day, but so far for the past month, and definitely since Sparking Zero has come out, I have been streaming every single day. I'm actually just trying to hit 1 month straight now. At this point, it's been like 26, 27 days, something like that. But I stream almost every day, even outside of this, a lot, bare minimum 3-4 times a week. Regardless, I've had a lot of people come through to the chat asking me, hey, is anyone else having this issue? Is anyone, how are you finding matches? Can anyone find matches? And just bring up all these problems that I personally haven't experienced, because my main platform right now is PlayStation. I do plan on picking the game up on PC, which has also seemingly been a lot smoother than Xbox. I'm hoping that whatever they mean by improved operational stability, they're referring to, maybe they would have specified if it was the Xbox specifically. That's all I can hope, because when it comes to PS5, I haven't really had too many issues. I mean, the game has crashed a couple of times, and obviously I would love for that to be decreased and like eliminated. It could be that. I haven't had too many like operational problems outside of that. Now let's go back up to Yajirobe, because I'm sure that's like the big piece here, right? Like that's the meat and potatoes of this. They are adjusting Yajirobe's stats. We don't really know the entire depth of what they mean by this, right? Are they adjusting his HP, his damage? Are they nerfing sensu bean so that you can only do it once? Are they making it so that he starts off with 2 health bars instead of 3? Are they making it so that he starts off with a skill count? There are a number of things that this could mean that they could be doing to the character, but it's interesting and worth noting because they are making some sort of balance adjustment to Yajirobe, and they mention him by name specifically. Now, there's a number of things to talk about and discuss when it comes to this. First and foremost, okay, this is a balance adjustment. What does this mean for the game? Will there be other balance adjustments? Are there other characters who might be reworked or touched at all in this patch that weren't mentioned? If so, why were they not? I'll say this. Number one, I am personally of the opinion that Yajirobe is problematic and unhealthy for the game with the way that sensu bean currently works. I think that this is a game that was designed to be a really fun casual game and not a super competitive like tournament style game. And I think that was evidenced not only by the statement that they themselves made saying that the game would not be balanced and characters would be lore accurate in their strength, and that difference would show up in the gameplay, and it does, but also by the fact that just yesterday I watched a tournament ran by Tampa Never Sleeps, aka TNS. Huge shout out to them. I love that they put on the event, that they ran the game. They run a lot of fighting games over there, not the least of which including Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, whatever. They've run plenty of games, Marvel, all that stuff, right? They ran one for Sparking Zero, and nothing but the utmost respect for them. I'm not trying to throw any strays or shade their way when I acknowledge this. I'm just being objective and just stating the facts. There were a lot of people who didn't find the event that interesting or that fun to watch because of the style of play that was exhibited by a lot of the players and the types of characters. And one of the very common strategies that we saw was stalling. That includes using androids 19 and 20 to like constantly heal and run away. We saw a lot of that, especially in the top 8 of the event. Yajirobe healing with sensu bean. So I don't like sensu bean on Yajirobe. I feel like it's something that he should only be able to do once, or maybe it needs to cost even more, or maybe it shouldn't heal full health. Like some sort of adjustment needs to be made. I think stalling tactics in general in the game are unhealthy. It creates for an uninteresting match for the person fighting against it. I don't think most players who are even doing it are enjoying it, and it's definitely uninteresting to watch. So I think from a competitive standpoint, it's problematic. I think from a gameplay standpoint and a fun standpoint, it's also an issue. But he's not the only character that has issues or things that I would consider problematic or things that I think need to be adjusted. Like I just mentioned, androids 19 and 20 are also in that exact same realm and are characters that I would probably tweak a lot if I were them. So why Yajirobe specifically? I don't really know. I guess because he costs so little DP in comparison, And maybe that's the change that they're going to make. Maybe they're going to make him cost even more DP. Does that solve the issue? I don't think so. And I guess we won't really know until we get the patch for ourselves. Time will tell. Another thing I want to say is that, okay, even if no other characters get adjusted in this patch, is this a sign that they are willing to do a balanced patch and make more adjustments to more characters in the future? And obviously we don't have the answer to that yet. But if you want my opinion or my prediction, I would say that the game will probably get more patches, but I would be of the standpoint, I would expect that if anything, it'll be more bug fixes, taking out glitches and things like that compared to balancing the game any further. I think they made it abundantly clear that they want certain characters to be stronger than others, and it's not meant to be balanced for competitive play. That's not the point or objective of this game. Which, by the way, I'm saying all this, you're probably going to hear me reiterate a lot of this as well, because I've recorded a video that I haven't uploaded yet talking about whether or not Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is competitive, and we dive into that conversation. And so you're probably going to hear me bring up some of these same points and make some of these same comments and remarks. But long story short, I don't think that's what the game is meant to be. And as a community, you can make it that way. And you're probably going to have to, set up some rules externally, because the game is not designed within itself to be played in that kind of format, right? But there are changes I would like to see, not only when it comes to gameplay, but also when it comes to characters. I find it interesting that they've mentioned Yajirobe specifically. Is he the biggest issue in the game? Maybe not. Like I said, 19 and 20 are also a thing. Obviously, the unblockable supers are a bit of an issue for people as well, particularly characters like Broly who have the key blast into unblockable. That's a whole can of worms in and of itself. People feel very strongly about After Image Strike. I don't think After Image Strike is as big of an issue as some other things in the game, like the stalling and the heal mechanics. I think it's problematic that Vegito has it. I think if Vegito didn't have it, people wouldn't be as upset about it or feel as strongly about it as they do, because when characters like Kid Goku or Videl or Pan have it, yeah, it can be annoying, and don't get me wrong, it's very, very strong, and if they want to nerf it, that's fine by me. It could stand to be toned down. I'm not saying that, because I also do play some Pan and Videl, so is there some bias there? Maybe, but let it be known that if they tone it down, I think that's fair. I think that's fine. There's just some other things I think are worse. And I don't think people would feel as bad about it as they do if Vegito specifically didn't have it, because he probably shouldn't. I don't expect this game to be balanced or get regular updates that make adjustments to the strength or power of characters and make adjustments to skills. And I don't even really expect too many things to change mechanic-wise in the game, or mechanically in the game. But I hope that I'm wrong about that, because I think this game is a lot of fun. I think people want to take the game more serious than maybe the developers thought people would or intended to. And there's a whole community of people out there that are advocating and pushing for this game to be a more serious and more competitive game. Now, will that result in any fruit for their effort? Who's to say? But I'm looking forward to this update and seeing what changes are made. Hopefully, in the end, it just creates a better experience for all of us, whether you're a player, competitor, content creator, streamer, YouTuber, whatever the case is. I just want this game to have as much longevity as possible, as healthy as an environment as possible, and just function. Because even the game as it is, I think is super fun and really, really good, and definitely head and shoulders above any other anime game we've gotten in recent years. Like I said, if probably the best game since Dragon Ball FighterZ, which again, y'all know my history with that game and how I feel about it right now, but whatever. And if you exclude that, I don't know what the last game that came out that I would say is as good as this, or potentially better. It would either be like a Naruto Storm 4 or Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, which I think both those games released in 2016. So it's been 8 years since we got a game that I would consider this good outside of Dragon Ball FighterZ. So even in its current state, I think it's really good, as long as they make the game more functional and playable for those who have the game on other platforms, or, even when it comes to like, being locked out of your controls. I think that's a huge step, and, will do the game a lot of good. That being said, that's pretty much all. I've somehow managed to ramble on and yap for over 14 minutes about a tweet that doesn't really have a ton of information. But part of that's because I'm really passionate about this game, and I'm having a great time. And, obviously I have a lot to say about everything. By the way, we were all under the impression that there was going to be a day one patch for this game. And I thought, and I think a lot of you thought, that day one patch was going to release not during early access, but when the game officially launched for everybody. Now, I personally never got that update, and maybe I need to go back and check to make sure that there was a reputable source who reported that there was supposed to be like a 10 gigabyte update and like patch for the game. But I never got that, and I never saw or felt anything change from day one of early access up to this point. Everything still seems exactly the same as it has been. And so the only logical conclusion to draw is that, well, if there was a patch, it happened on day one of early access and happened when we installed it or updated the game right from the get-go. I don't know. the patch, it either never happened or it happened without us realizing it, like on day 1, like or day -3, however you want to look at it. But yeah, I don't know what happened with that. I don't know what changes were made, if any at all. If you have any information on that, you can feel free to let me know, because I don't know what changed, if anything. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already, so you can stay tuned for all the awesome content I'm bringing you. And with all that being said, that's pretty much all I have for today. And remember, nothing can happen until you swing the bat. Later.